pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A couple of orders of business as we get started. We'd first like to welcome our two new school committee members, Mr. James Walsh, Mr. Aidan Horgan. Thank you. Very nice to have you here. Our second order of business, before we get into the committee reports, the committee assignments for this year: Resource Committee, Chair Pete Stevens, Jim Walsh, and Sally Cragen. Policy Committee, Sally Cragen, Rosemary Reynolds, and Aidan Horgan. Student Support, Jean LaBelle Pierce, Aidan Horgan, Rosemary Reynolds. School Personnel, Mayor Di Natale, Pete Stevens, Jim Walsh. Executive Committee, Mayor, Jean LaBelle Pierce, and Jim Walsh. Building Needs, Pete Stevens, Sally Cragen, and Jean LaBelle Pierce. Those are the committee assignments for this coming year. There is no school committee chair tonight. Mayor Di Natale, this is first time I can remember that the mayor has missed a meeting, and he was not able to attend tonight, but I'm sure he will be with us for the next meeting. He is very involved with education in the Fitchburg Public School System, and he does not like to miss a meeting. Resource Committee, no report at this time. School Building Needs, no report at this time. Policy Committee?
We will, Aidan and Rosemary and I will schedule a meeting for the next time tonight. I'm sure we'll have things to report back at our next meeting.
School Personnel, we are going to have a negotiation session tomorrow afternoon with the teachers. Executive Committee, the mayor is not here, and next we shall have a report from our students, our student reps.
Okay. So
Lisa, would you like to start?
Me?
No, or Matthew?
Oh, I guess I'll start today.
Okay.
We have a kind of like a new security plan within the school starting today. People are going to be at the doors in the morning until 7:30, letting students in from every entrance to secure that the doors are locked at exactly 7:30. The FHS Spring Musical of Willy Wonka will be performed on April 12th at 7 p.m., April 13th at 7 p.m., and April 14th at 2 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. There is an AP English Saturday session on March 24th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. hosted by Neshoba Valley Tech. And I would like to congratulate Audrey Johnson. She's a senior at Fitchburg High School, and she got the Massachusetts State Track Coaches Association's Frank Kelly Adversity Award. That was a mouthful. And then 18 students were accepted into the honors program at Fitchburg State University last week, which was through the Honors Academy, and that was really good too.
So spring sports tryouts began today. So we had track and field, we had tennis, baseball, lacrosse. I think that's softball.
That's all.
Oh, yeah. And the school walkout from last week was actually postponed to this Friday, so we're hoping that turns out well because of the weather last week. So the 23rd, this Friday. The English Language Arts MCAS is on the 27th, 28th, and 29th this month for all 10th graders, and for any incoming 11th graders to the new, who are new to Massachusetts. Mr. FHS is on March 29th.
Oh yeah. Mr. FHS is kind of like a beauty pageant for boys. And yeah, it's a great time, and you know you do your talent, and then the questions, and then I think the winner last year, I recall the winner won prom tickets. I'm going to assume the prizes stays the same, but it's very fun, very funny.
Yeah, they all dress up in like makeup or whatever, and it's funny. Good Friday on March 30th, so there will be no school because of the holiday. And that's about it that we have. Not as much this meeting because, it's only been a couple weeks since we last saw each other.
Yeah,
So,
Any questions from the committee?
a lot of snow days.
No question, okay.
I have
Just
a
a quick-
comment. Yeah, or
Comment,
do you
yes,
wanna go
Jean, go ahead. Sally?
What time is the walkout on Friday?
10 o'clock a.m. It's probably not going to be, sharp at 10 a.m., but we're hoping to gather all the students at 10 a.m.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You mentioned MCAS, ELA, MCAS coming up, and I just thought I would say it for people who are watching. Maybe you don't see it anymore because you guys are seniors, but
Or juniors.
But so sophomore parents and sophomore students get these ELA, MCAS email texts, I guess, and emails from Mr. Roach weekly about preparing, like test-taking strategies and tips and what sample questions might be like. And it's interesting because, I don't know if you guys know this, but I teach in a high school as well. And we were looking at a text, and people were blown away by the fact that this is just kind of a strategy, that this is just something that Fitchburg High continues to do to help prepare its students. So that's great. And you guys are probably relieved because you don't do that again, although you have other tests.
Yeah, the SAT.
Yeah. But I just thought I'd add that because as you said, MCAS, I thought that's such an amazing communication piece.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And for the juniors and seniors, the preparation for the SATs, there's a big push on that too as well. With you can connect to Khan Academy with College Board, and they transfer your scores over, and they figure out what you're not so good on, and that's what they focus on strengthening with you. So that's very good. You get a lot of practice in it.
Wait, can you explain that again? So what do you're looking at Khan Academy, and then what?
Yeah, and you link your College Board account,
Okay.
which has your SAT and PSAT scores.
Mhm.
And Khan Academy is able to give you like practice problems on things that you may need help on based
That's
on your
great.
scores.
It's huge.
Yeah, I practiced a lot and I felt more confident going into the SATs. And most students, it's raised their score like at least 1 hour a week. It's raised their score by 200, 300 points,
Wow.
and that's a lot.
Wow.
That is a lot. So
That's
it's very
great.
good. There's a big
Do
push.
you
on that.
know, Lisa, how many kids are taking advantage of that, or?
In my honors pre-calc class, every time we have her for lunch, we have third lunch. So on fourth lunch, we focus on SAT prep with Khan Academies instead of going back to work. We focus on getting ready for the SATs, which is pretty good use of time because it's helped me a lot.
That's great.
Yeah, Mr. Roach puts it in the emails as well, and like students are aware of it, and there's a big push. The math teachers especially are focusing on that, and then I know some English teachers are assigning vocab on vocabulary.com to look over. At least my teacher is.
Very good. Any more questions? I would just like to make a couple of comments on the subcommittees and the makeup. Fitchburg is a 7-member school committee headed up by the mayor, and our subcommittees are 3 members of the school committee. Every member of the school committee can attend any subcommittee that is posted. They cannot vote at a subcommittee meeting because then 4 members voting at a subcommittee meeting would be a majority of the school committee, and that's not allowed. But you can attend meetings. You can be recognized by the subcommittee chair to speak, but you cannot vote. Yep. Okay, approval of the minutes from the previous school committee meeting?
Make a motion.
Motion made. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No executive session tonight. Communications. Ms. Cragen.
Sure. Let me, I'll do the fun one first, which is the vaccine and microchip clinic returns to Fitchburg on Saturday, March 31st, so a week from this coming Saturday. It's going to be, I think it's $10 rabies, and then $10 distemper parvo, $20 microchip. And the time is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Fitchburg Fire Station, and cats must be in carriers. Be Positive is sponsoring this, along with Friends of Fitchburg Dogs. Second Chance Animal Services out in Brookfield has been a real supporter of animal services here in Fitchburg for the past 7 years. So it's really a great relationship. We will get flyers out to all of our school children. That always brings in a lot more folks. We had, I believe, 265 animals vaccinated at the vaccination clinic in Fitchburg at the West Fitchburg Fire Station last July. So we're hoping for similar numbers now. We do this twice a year in Fitchburg, and we just started doing it once a year in Leominster. And on the academic side, Mr. Stevens, Mrs. Reynolds, and myself attended the Poverty Summit at Clark University. This was the second year of a pretty amazing morning and early afternoon, or basically morning, of very rich material having to do with students and learning with a real focus on communities that are in poverty. My takeaway was we're already doing a lot of the principles, practices, and protocols that they did discuss. But then it was great to kind of hear what's happening elsewhere in the state. And I know Rosemary was probably took more notes than anyone because she knows shorthand. So, and Pete as well. So, if you got anything to share?
Yes, it was truly uplifting, and the main speaker was Dr. William Parrott from Boise, Idaho University, and he has scoured the country and selected 2 schools in particular to highlight, schools that by any criteria from the outside should not have excelled, but despite their poverty, they did excel. And one school was outside of Detroit, and a formerly exclusive and rich area which had become impoverished with the loss of the car industry. And then the other one was a school down in the south that had been totally demolished. Everything was demolished across the board, buildings, houses, with Katrina, and they excelled. And so he was pointing out, if you study it, what was common to the schools that did well across the country. And it was caring, came up with the word caring. And it was everybody cared about everybody else and working together. And strong focus, which I heard all day long, on providing support to the teachers. The teachers are on the front line. And rather than them feeling alone or that they have to fill in support, strong support of the teachers. And then that was echoed by the newly elected DESE, which is an acronym for Department of Elementary and Secondary School, the newly appointed Jeffrey Riley. And he was a man, I don't know, as soon as I saw him, he reminded me of Newt Rockney, kind of rugged and solid, and he had a great attitude. He said rather than moving quickly, like the question was asked, what's your 90-day program? He said, you're going to see a lot of me. He said, I'll be going around to all the schools, you'll get to know me, and I want to get to know you, and I want to know what the situation is before I say what I want to do or anything. He said, I want a strong focus on teachers also. So I was very happy with that. And when I returned, the name of the event was Disrupting Poverty, which I loved that immediately. It was a clear picture. We're going to step in here and curtail the advance of poverty's effects, if not poverty itself. And at the main office there, they have materials which anybody is available to be seen on this man's work, Disrupting Poverty. So I've accessed that and intend to spend a couple of hours. But there were 135 representatives from North Adams to Nantucket, And it was, you really had an exciting sense of professionalism and an eagerness to get to work and make huge improvements. So I was very happy.
Congressman McGovern also spoke
Yeah.
at lunchtime and very supportive of education. And we also had Superintendent from Brockton and Franklin, two diverse communities, and both communities all have poverty. So it's not just your cities, that your small communities also have poverty. So it was an excellent conference. Sally?
Yeah, just something to add. I'm looking through my notes here. So Congressman McGovern sits on the, he's the ranking Democrat on the Agricultural Subcommittee. And he said, we've actually had a member of the subcommittee say that, well, kids can eat tater tots if they want, in terms of, not really paying close attention to nutrition. And what he did say is that so far, they've had 23 meetings, and everyone on both sides and both parties agree that this is an important program and it needs to be expanded. And the cost is just $1.40 per person for the SNAP program, which of course is food stamps, and the majority of people on the SNAP program cannot work. And they cannot work because they are children. And that really struck home. So the majority are children, then elderly and those on disabilities. So he was great. He's always a very dynamic speaker, but he's a great voice to have. But for those who didn't know, ranking Democrat on the House Agriculture Subcommittee that makes the decisions about food in schools and food for the community.
Thank you, Sally.
Yep.
Any questions on the poverty conference? If not, we'll go to the superintendent's report.
Public comment first.
Yep.
Public comment.
Oh, we skipped over that. Are there any public comments for tonight? Limit 5 minutes. Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to invite Landon Tucker to come and join us. He was not able to come at our last meeting because he was ill. And I have to tell you, from what I know of Landon, he had to be pretty darn ill to not come to a meeting. But we heard a little bit from Michaela about her work and the things going on with her. And Landon is going to talk to us tonight about his Prudential Spirit Award. And then he also his group, which is the Current Events Group. And he's going to talk to you about a tiny little scholarship that he received.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry I couldn't make it last week. I had laryngitis. It was not fun. Still recovering from it, but it's all right. I'm here now. Came here to talk about the Prudential Spirit Award, which I felt wasn't really an award for me, but an award for what the Current Events Club has done this past year and kind of taken the club culture of Fitchburg High School and uplifted it and hopefully set the bar pretty high for clubs that are existing and future clubs, and also maintaining what the Current Events Club is doing. We were recognized for the raising money for Hurricane Maria through the duct taping of Mr. Roach. We were recognized for the clothing drive, which raised close to 900 articles of clothing for kids in poverty in school districts such as Boston and Springfield and Lynn. Other things were our movie night at Fitchburg High School, which raised about $560 for cancer research. The other $250 went from duct taping Mr. D, went to the restoration of Crocker Field and the restoration of Crocker Elementary School. So that was just some key ticket items that they highlighted. And I was just so happy to be recognized and have the Current Events Club recognized for what we're trying to do and making the Fitchburg community a better place. I know Lisa's in the Current Events Club and she's there every meeting, so great members. We're up to about, I'd say, 25 members now, and they're all pretty active. I'd say at least 23 strong active members. It's a great working with that group. They're all motivated. Just recently, we started putting up posters around the school talking about reducing things you can do to reduce global warming, just recycling more, what you can and can't recycle, the different light bulbs you can use, and we started printing everything out in Spanish as well to reach the diverse population at Fitchburg High School. right now we have a quote jar and guidance that's kind of just a positive quote jar to keep people who, are struggling in any way or having a bad day, just to uplift their day. So just some few things that we're trying to do, keep Fitchburg High School positive. Like Mr. Ravenel said, to touch upon the tiny scholarship I got, I was awarded with the Coca-Cola scholarship, which is $20,000. So it was very happy to get it. They're actually paying to fly me out to Atlanta over spring break for a 4-day all-paid expense trip, so that was pretty sweet. I was happy about that.
Very sweet.
Yeah. It's just 4 days, like a leadership summit, just to connect with the other Coke scholars and
Wow.
learn about, probably talking about the hot ticket items that are going around in the country right now, just to see the students' perspective. Because as we all know, students are kind of getting their voice out there, which is amazing, and I hope that I can continue that and demonstrate it on Friday at the walkout. I'm very adamant on students having a voice.
How many students will be there at that conference?
So 150 applicants got selected out of 150,000 people who applied.
Any questions for?
Yeah, quickly about the walkout Friday. So the Current Events Club organizes that?
No, Michaela Wakefield, she organized it. She asked for our help, and we were more than willing to help in any way that we could. So.
And how's that going? Do you have speakers set up and that's all?
Yeah, we should be getting them from central office, right? That's what Mr. Roach.
What are you getting?
The speakers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, speakers and microphones.
Yep. So Michaela will be giving a speech, I'll be giving a speech, and Emily Hill is reading a poem
Okay.
that day.
Yeah, that's what I meant, like who's actually speaking.
Yeah.
But that's good that you have speakers too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Be
awesome.
heard, yeah.
Awesome.
It is student-led. Yep.
Great, that's great to hear.
First of all, Anna, congratulations. Very impressive.
Thank you.
And also, I do follow the Current Events Club on Twitter, as
Yep.
as I am. I'm impressed with what you do send out. And a question I have for both you and Lisa with the Current Events Club, on all the activities that you supported, do you meet as a group and decide what we're going to do to raise money for Project A, Project B, et cetera? And as things arise, you try to come up with some other way to raise funds for another group in need? Yeah.
Absolutely. We have meetings every Thursday, and we found that it was more productive to break up into subcommittees. So right now we have 5 subcommittees ranging from reducing global warming, reducing our plastic footprint, raising awareness for mental health, trying to get students more active, and unifying the school. So all those kind of cover the broad categories, and each one is kind of taking their own path and what they want to do. And then anything that arises, like a walkout or another club needs our help, then we're more than willing to show up and give our full support.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Landon, could you were at the high school last Thursday afternoon, I believe, could you just tell people a little bit about what took place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the president of the Student Athlete Leadership Council, and this past Thursday we held an event which was a sports fair, kind of trying to incorporate all the younger elementary and middle school kids to stay active over this winter time. It's hard to get outside, so we figured we'd bring it inside, and also to get future Red Raiders into the gym, meeting athletes, meeting coaches, just kind of getting that Red Raider pride early, so that way when it comes time to make a high school decision, hopefully they'll stay in the Fitchburg Public Schools and maintain in athletics as well. It was a great event. Last year it wasn't so popular. We only had probably about 25 people show up. I'd say there was at least 100 to 150 people show up this past Thursday.
At least that.
Yeah, it was an amazing time. Just meet all those kids who are really just inspired by athletics and want to get involved in any way that they can. It was so funny. One girl was like, "Well, I've never played this sport before," and I was like, "It's the perfect time. Just do it. There's no shame. You just try something new. If you love it, then go with it. If you don't, move on to the next station." There's tons of sports that we were offering there, so it was a great event.
Thank you. Any more questions for Landon? Thank you, Landon.
Okay,
Well,
thank you, Landon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, a couple of updates. One, and it's related to the calendar, and that is, we've had 7 snow days already, and I've tried not to look at the weather, but I have, and it's not looking good. It went from maybe a dusting in Fitchburg to 6 to 10 inches now. Yeah, that was my reaction exactly. So, today I sent out a SurveyMonkey survey of one question, and that is, would you be interested, would you support coming to school on Good Friday for a half day?
Oh, yes.
I checked the numbers just 10 minutes ago, and so far, we've had 720 people said yes, and 96 said no. And that's been basically, I've been checking it all day, and it's been about 10% that have no's and 90% yes. So what I would propose, and that's why I'm on a quick timeline, is that I'm going to wait. I gave the deadline of, I think, Wednesday afternoon, so that everybody, and people are, within like 10 minutes, 90 people had already weighed in. But it's a one-question survey, which is easy to do. But I really wanted some feedback from both parents and staff members. So if this continues, what I'm recommending is I would send something out on Thursday saying that Good Friday would be a school day, and it would be a half-day for everyone, students and staff. So we would, continue the schedule as it is. Now, right now, with 7 days, we end school on Friday, June 22nd. If we do this, it buffers me back to Thursday, which means if I get another snow day, it puts me on a Friday. What I'm trying to do is avoid going into that following week, which is the last week of June, and staff members, families, people have made plans, and the level of attendance, and it's not great. So because the calendar is under your supervision, I'm recommending a change to the calendar.
I'll put
which
that
is-
on next.
Well, it would have to be retroactive, because this will happen before the next school committee meeting. So I guess what I'm asking tonight is your permission to move forward on this.
Yes, okay, it's on tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then, the calendar is on there, but this is not
Well,
on
the
there.
calendar is
That's
on
next
there.
year, but that's next year's calendar.
Right.
What I'm asking for is a change to this year's calendar. So I'm basically asking for permission to move forward with this, to have it formalized at the meeting after. Because the time is just not, I just was looking at this, I did not expect possibly 2 more storms, in March. After April 1, you don't have to make up those days. But before that, you do. And unfortunately, these are all coming before April 1. So I don't know if there's any feedback or input that any of you have regarding this possible.
I believe we
Process.
moved to put this item, we make a motion and second and vote to put the item on.
Would you make the motion, Ms. Stragan,
I make a motion that
to
we
put
put
it
this
on the
item on
action?
our action
And-
items.
Yeah, all right, there's a motion, okay, comment?
Comment, might we find an adjective to put in there indicating it's a special situation,
That, we've done this, yeah, we don't really need that, because
No.
we've done this before.
We've done this before.
so temporary or specific or whatever, okay, rather than, it won't become permanent, right?
Right, this is just for this time, and then next year's calendar, actually, you're voting on tonight.
Which
And
is
next
on-
year's calendar is similar to this year's calendar. It has Good Friday as a day off from school. So it's just, this is kind of an emergency situation.
Right, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying, to
Yeah.
indicate that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a second, Claire,
We're voting for this, you put on the action list.
to put in the action
We have-
list for
right.
tonight.
Okay,
right.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Related to this, we're looking at, there is a new option for making up school days. For lack of a better term, they're called blizzard bags. And what it is it's an option where teachers prepare work for the students, and the students would do that work on their own at home. And my recommendation would be, we're looking at that right now, so I have to have the school committee, and that doesn't have to happen tonight, so I'm just giving you information. We'll put it on the next agenda, and I'll give you more information. But I'm asking the school committee to use that option for 3 of our schools who singularly have missed school days. McKay is missed a school day because of a sewage situation outside. Crocker has missed 2 days of school because of the broken pipes and all of that, and Lonjo missed a day of school. So above and beyond the 7 or 8 or 9 days, they have other days. So what I've been working with the Teachers Association has been to develop an initiative like a Blizzard Bags, where the teachers would prepare these lessons that would then be done at home. And it would count for that school day for those particular schools, because they're already going to be making up 7 days like everyone else, and this is above and beyond it. So this is more just an informational item for you, and to get any questions you might have about it, I'll pull together all the information, because I need your approval to do it, and then I have to submit this to the Department of Education for their approval. And I've already been, after Crocker happened, I was emailing them that day saying, remember me, I'll be back, because I'm going to need to be approaching you for makeup days for these individual schools.
Some school systems have already done that.
Yeah, some
It's
school
not-
systems already have it as part of their regular approach to snow days. But it needs to be formalized, it needs to be approved by the school committee, and then it needs to be approved. Now, what I would probably recommend for next year is you can put this all together.
Put this to policy committee?
We could put it on
With the
policy
policy,
committee
and
and
they would
then
come
put
up
it
with a
together, and
policy.
then you submit it at the beginning of the year for the school year, and then you don't have to go back and do this each time. You kind of get the blessing from the Department of Ed ahead of time, based on what you submit.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone has any
Questions?
questions about it.
Not about the Blizzard Bags, but about Good Friday. This survey that we did, was that just yes or no? Was there any room for?
Just yes or no is
comment?
one question, yes or no.
Okay,
And it will be a half day,
right.
Yep.
Is there a precedent for that?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I have a question about the
Question,
Blizzard
yep.
bags. So are there, is there criteria they have to meet in order to have the work kind of hit
Yeah.
the standards? or-
Yeah, there's a criteria, and you set it up, and that's where, and maybe it's also a good place for the student support committee. Could be a place to look at the, kind of ideas of it, and then to the policy committee. There's Andover, Narragansett. There are a number of school districts that are already doing it. That's what they're
So,
doing.
do you know-
Burlington was the first school district to do it 2 years ago.
So is it similar to like sub-plans where you've already, but you don't know where you're going to be at a certain point in your year, right? When you're,
Yeah.
what is it, all at sort of like back-ended at the end of the year kind of thing, or?
No.
Okay.
No, they're kind
Pretty
of,
contemporary to when
It
you're out of
happens.
school.
yeah.
And then there's a time limit for students doing it and submitting it. Yeah.
So maybe we can put that on the student support agenda? just
Yeah,
to-
and we're going to be talking to, actually, Rick may have already talked to him, I don't know if that came up, but I asked, we've already gotten some samples, a few teachers have already kind of put them together, so I asked Adam Cordio from the Teachers Association to bring forward kind of what people have put together, because it can be a combination of home-based work and then online work. I talked about Khan Academy, things like that, depending on where a teacher is in a particular area. There, you can plug in, and there are a lot of online things that can be done. But then there has to be a system of verification.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. So, so I will bring that we'll put it on the agendas. We can put it on the subcommittee agendas, and I'll bring it, because we can get the approval to move forward and then work out what it's going to look like for Fitchburg, in the same process. But I need to get the request into the Department of Ed as soon as possible, so I know that I can move forward on it.
Jim?
So once you put the request in and the Department of Ed approves it, then it's approved, is it approval on a year-by-year basis, or is it, okay, so every year you would have to
Yes.
submit, okay.
Hopefully this is the last awful March, or Rosemary?
So this year, since it's coming up for the first time for us, the work would be whatever the teacher sees appropriate. But are you suggesting that the coming years we'll have the blessing and we'll have those available to pull out and use perhaps on the actual day of the blizzard, or
I think,
are you waiting till the end of the
I don't remember
year?
the regulations, but I think it can only be used on the days after your 5.
Oh, okay, so it always
So
goes
it's,
to the end of the
you
year.
got to do those 5, and then it's for when you go beyond those 5.
I get
Because that's where people have been, or like in special situations like we have, where one school misses a day,
Yeah.
you bring that school back for a day and disrupt, the families, the staff, the everything, the busing, the food service for one day. That's not a practical solution.
So it's in our toolkit, we can
It's
pull it
in our
out when we need it.
toolkit, right, it's in our toolkit. Agreeing that nothing replaces a full day of academics in front of the teacher,
Okay.
okay? All right, Good Friday. The other thing is, I think Sally and Pete had recommended a retreat or an opportunity, a retreat, the word for lack of a better term, an opportunity to bring the school committee together as a group, because we have, 2 very new people and 1 fairly new person, and we've never reviewed, like, the goals of the district, the vision of the district, all those documents that we've put together that basically we keep going back to. So one of the suggestions was a day during April vacation. So I just wanted to check in and see if, it's probably difficult to get everyone there, and I don't see this as 4 hours, maybe an hour and a half of kind of an overview of the mission and vision of the district, our accelerated improvement plan, things like that. So I'm putting this out there. The 16th of April vacation is the holiday, so then there's the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. I'm available any one of those days, so I'm putting this out to all of you to see if there's interest in doing that and availability.
Very interested.
As am I. I would find it beneficial.
Once you have Patty.
Well, I think
Or Bart.
she kind of gave me the assignment to come
Oh,
back with an
okay.
answer.
Well,
or
you better
don't
get
come
it
back
done,
to the office. So I said, we've got everybody in the room.
Want to do it on a Monday or Tuesday?
The Monday's the
Monday would be the
holiday.
holiday.
Okay, the Tuesday?
So is there anyone who is not around during April vacation?
Not on the 19th and 20th for me.
Okay, so that's the 17th or 18th, so that's the Tuesday or Wednesday. Is there anyone who's not available on a Tuesday or Wednesday?
I'm here on the Tuesday, but I'm in Los Angeles from the 18th through the following week.
So, all right, so
prefer
we're down to the Tuesday, the
Tuesday.
17th.
We're down.
This is getting easy. And now the question is there a time that works? I can do it any time. So what is a good time for you?
9 to noon?
I would have to say past 11 a.m. I have class from 8 to 11.
So 11 to 1 and we serve lunch?
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, Tuesday, she's going to be so happy. All right, so if,
17th, you said?
Correct.
yeah, so if you can put that on your calendars, and it'll be at central office on Tuesday, April 17th, from 11 to 1, and we'll provide lunch. And I will have whatever members of central office are also available, so that there's an opportunity. We'll each give like a short summary of what each office does, give you a chance to ask questions, and review some of the main documents that pretty much drive the work of the district.
Maybe on that, we could also look about maybe a day in the summer, which we haven't done for a couple of years for vision plans,
Yeah.
goal setting.
Just on that, might 11:15 to 1:15 be better because Aiden's tied up till 11?
10:15, so I was kind of rounding it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So
good.
11 to 1.
So we're
That'd be
good.
perfect. But
Yep.
thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. So it's something we could talk about,
Yeah.
something we have, we started, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Okay,
And this, sorry, just pointing out, this will need to be posted too, but Patty can do that.
yeah, Patty will do all of that, yeah. I did my part, now she'll do hers. All right, so of the many people who kind of oversee the district in different areas of the district, Pam Rivers is our Director of Nurses and oversees really all of the health components of the district. So you have a one-page summary in your packet. She's just going to kind of touch base a little bit on parts of that and then really open it up for questions from you on the work that she does. So, Pam, thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you all, nice to see you, and thank you for having me here this evening. So I want to acknowledge the nursing group that we have within the district and give appreciation and accolades to the level of care that they provide. They're very well trained, very well educated. The majority of them are either have their master's degree or are in pursuit of their master's degree, and or they're also Nationally School Nurse Certified. And as it turns out, today is National Certification School Nurses Day, so very appropriate. So we got a celebration letter that I'd like to read parts of it to you, and it gives you just a little bit of background. So thank you for demonstrating professionalism and dedication to quality patient care by earning your national certification in school nursing. Your credentials and commitment to excellence are recognized, trusted, and appreciated. So the Board of Certification of School Nurses plays an increasingly important role in the assurance of high standards of care for our students and their families. School nursing, like healthcare in general, has become increasingly complex. While registered nurses, RN license provides entry into general nursing practice, the knowledge-intensive requirements of modern school nursing require extensive education as well as strong personal commitment to excellence by the school nurse. So that's the foundation of the individuals that are there providing the care and for the students and, reaching out to the families, the staff. So I just, I'm pleased to be able to recognize that. I did share with you a one-pager, as Andre had said, and it reflects the benefits of the school nurses. It is adapted from a national document, National Professional Organization of School Nurses, and I've adapted it to our Fitchburg setting. So we, as well as the national standards, reflect the positives of attendance. Attendance helps with health promotion, disease prevention, disease management. And health promotion includes both the physical side of health and the psychological side of health. So when you think of health promotion, you always want to think of the social, emotional, the well-being, because it's the full scope of these services. Academics is another benefit, and with having the school nurses within the schools, we are able to provide care for the individuals, and these also support the attendance rates, and they reduce the dropout rates. The more you attend, the less you're going to have the dropout rates. For a state standard for return to class rate, which is a readiness to learn and to achieve the education, the state rate is 93%. In Fitchburg, we're at 95%, which is a wonderful increased rate. The school nurses, their role is to provide the health services, the education. So as they're fulfilling those roles within the school environment, the other staff members that they collaborate with are able to attend to their assignments, particularly around the education and the safety and the supports that's needed. And in order to have this happen, we also have to have a staff that's very healthy and has a wellness side to them. So the nurses know this, and they work very closely with them. And they provide several different initiatives and programs, some of which have actually been in the paper this year. And some of those include yoga, exercise program, nutritional programs, other health initiatives that they work together with them on. There's a certain amount of accountability that's provided by the nurses, and this is around following the federal and state laws to make sure that things are followed. We visit those at the different policy and policy subcommittee meetings, and they reflect in our policies. Some of the specifics would be around the laws around the screenings that include hearing, vision, postural, body mass index, screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment, nutrition, medication administration. This could be daily, this could be as needed. This falls into field trips and certainly in emergency situations. There's certainly a large amount of advocacy, and the advocacy is around the student health care needs and making sure that we advocate for what is needed to provide these and make sure that we maintain the safety. Preparing for the emergencies. Emergencies come in many different forms. Annually, there's the review of the emergency preparedness that is the schools and the communities that goes on. Beyond that are the medical emergency responses. These are something that are looked at, planned for, and implemented every 3 years. The nursing staff is also trained in the larger scale, the incident command, the national institute management systems that are out there, and those are the safeties beyond the schools and into the communities. And as Landon had, said that he has a subgroup that they work on the mental health. Well, mental health is, again, another part that links to academics. You have to have that in balance, the well-being in balance, if you're going to be able to attain to learning. So the other collaboration is with the community partners. There are different task force, associations with first responders, groups like the SHINE initiatives, the reentry programs that we connect with our BRIGHT partners, Mock Luck, the UMass medical professional staff. So school nurses are instrumental in the identification and referral to community resources for health risks and are often the only health professionals who see students on a regular basis. The reduction in days missed nationally is usually associated with conditions such as asthma and dental. Those are services that we educate on, provide for, and connect with to make sure that we don't fall into days missed as a result of that. There are chronic conditions that individuals have. Some of these that come to mind right away would be diabetes, seizures, but the ability of the school nurses, the collaboration with the other specialists, again, we're able to service these students within the schools, work with their families so that they can attend to their work and their other outside needs. We're certainly on the front lines of identifying accidents and injuries. New research is showing that from 2010 to 2016, there's been an increase in allergies and anaphylactic reactions. As a result of this, they've also discovered that 53% of this is of the unknown, while 47% is generally associated with different food allergens and all. The fact that we have EpiPens, that we're able to train for that we're able to assess symptoms and all, we are providing safety and making sure that there is no negative effects as a result of this. We also work with individual healthcare plans, 504 plans, to make sure that the healthcare needs are in place and met on a regular basis. There's certainly counseling that's involved, counseling of students around their physical and emotional needs. So to recap very quickly, the school nurses' economic value include providing health services that increase school attendance, prevent and control the spread of communicable diseases, administer specialized services to students, again, medications, different insulins, catheters, tube feedings, the list goes on. Verification of immunizations, making sure that they're up to date on immunizations, up to date on their physicals. We are one of the first schools that were connected with the Massachusetts Immunization Reporting System. So that's an extremely beneficial connection where students, come in and go in different, from different areas within the state. We're able to connect to the system and make sure that they're updated as needed. Certainly the screenings that we talked about, the referrals. The nurses provide health professional input and direction for schools and the community. So it's a great partnership that we have. and especially educating students and staff on managing their own health and wellness. And this is something that's built up just as education over the years, and the goal is for lifelong health, for success and achievement. So I thank you all.
Questions, Pam?
Question? Show my ignorance being new.
No worries.
Do we have a school nurse at every school?
We do indeed.
Oh, great, okay, it's good to know.
Sally?
Sure. So as the mother of a freshman at the high school and a third grader, I can say firsthand, I have seen amazing, care and concern and professionalism, and I can't believe how many second graders lose teeth at school. That is amazing, and really, this was, all my kids lost all their teeth at school. And it was, it was dealt with really wonderfully, and I think that our school nurses, again, with our health occupation, health occupation student association, the school nurses really inspire kids to go into these professions, and that is such, a tribute to the quality of folks we have in these jobs. So thank you.
Thank you.
Jean?
I'd like to echo that, Pam. I mean, congratulations on just an incredible department. I will say as a parent, also, I'm always impressed by how thorough the nurses are. And I know the needs are great out there, so it's really wonderful to know that these trusted professionals and really capable professionals are in the buildings. That's a testimony to you and really running a great department.
Thank you.
I want to just thank Pam. Pam's on all of our committees, our social emotional task forces. It's so helpful to me to have this person to go to say, I need you on this committee. Pam is also admired in the state. She's been on a lot of state committees, and I go to conferences, and sometimes I go to the nurses conference, and everybody knows her. And like so many of the other administrators here, when they're out there representing Fitchburg, we're being represented in a very professional way. And to know that I've got somebody there who has this army of health people, with the flu this year, I never knew, whether that was going to be something that would address us, and to know that, okay, if something comes, we're ready. And then I also have to give kudos to the work that Pam did with her two nurses when we moved Crocker. We had to do that quickly, and that meant we had to set up 2 nurses stations in these schools that didn't have one, and it was flawless. The technology department had all of the technology set up, so when the nurses walked in, they basically took over the space, and it's like everything had been there in a gap. So that kind of stuff happens behind the scenes. It's not fancy, it's not, but it's the nitty-gritty of the machine that keeps everything going smoothly. So how many districts have a nurse at every school? Is it 50%, 60%?
Yeah, I would say it's 60 or so %. There are still schools that do not, Boston being one of them. Mm-hmm. Boston's one of the districts. It certainly has the high needs, but they definitely do not have a nurse in every building.
So, but we've had it as long as I've been here, and I think back then, 13 years ago, there were a lot fewer schools that had it. I think that's changed over the years.
Well, and I think the recognition of not just per building, but per the student needs is something that we do in this district, and it's so important. And it just speaks volumes to the attention to the students and the families.
Because I don't think a lot of people at home who haven't been in a school in a long time, I mean, my aunt was a school nurse, and, I just remember her doing the hearing tests, the sight tests, and giving me the little cup of polio drink. And pretty much that was it. And they just came and went, and I think she was even probably the town nurse and was doing that on the side. Now, I mean, we have kids with feeding tubes and all kinds of medical complications who, because we have medical professionals in our schools are able to attend school every day.
Are there items that you feel like the district really needs to add to the repertoire, or?
So that's something that, thank you for asking, that's continually, assessed and addressed. And one of the things, so today, as Andre said, going out to districts, so across the state, they have nurses come in several times a year, new nurses, and they put them through this 4-day training program, and there's different segments. So the segment that I present is on the emergency preparedness planning. So I did that this morning, and the benefit is that you get to, see this large venue of, new professionals interested in the profession. You get to work with them, educate them, and of course I always say, if you're in the community and you're interested in working with us in Fitchburg, please reach out to me. So that's always great to put that out there. But one of the things that's come up around emergency management is around, things like, tourniquets and things like that. And is that something that you want to have with your, emergency kit? So just to name, something new that's out there. So that's something that's being, explored. Is it something that's needed in the schools? Is it something that's appropriate to have with your first responders, emergency responders, things like that? So I guess in answer to your question, there's always things I'm always addressing, what else in bringing it forward if it's something that's important and in need.
What's the primary means of communication that nurses would be using in an emergency situation? Is it their cell phone? Is it
Walkie-talkies.
just walkie-talkies? Like, do nurses always have like a walkie-talkie? I'm just kind of curious.
So the nurses are equipped with walkie-talkies, and they're also obviously equipped with the landline that's within their building. So depending on where it's happening, if it's out in the schoolyard versus within the building, whatever that they would use. Yeah.
So I know.
So the other thing that we're looking even to embrace the technology, and we've gotten iPads recently in with medical apps, so that are very instrumental, and that can be something if you have an individual that needs to be monitored and they're taking a walk around, say, the community, it's something where you can track them in real time and monitor them more closely. So things like that. Yeah.
Any more questions for Pam?
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much,
Thank you so
Pam.
much.
I appreciate
Have a
it.
good night.
Thank you.
One, maybe Paula, I saw today, like Pam is one statewide on a lot of committees. We had Ava Kelly elected to a statewide committee, who was our title.
The parent liaison, she put in with the Department of Education. They're creating a statewide group of parent outreach, and Eva applied and was accepted. So she will be representing Fitchburg on this statewide committee.
That's great.
Very good.
So now from mental health, physical health to academic health. We're going to be given, they're going to take the blood pressure of the school system and probably mine at the same time. Paula and Kathy have just done the lion's share of this is called the Comprehensive District Review. There'll be a team coming in and spending 3 days here and basically looking at every aspect of the school district. So we felt that it was a good time for Paula and Kathy to come and give you an update of what's going to be happening, because you also have a role in this.
So thank you. So Kathy's here to join us. I'm going to do a quick overview and then open it up to questions. The Department of Ed will actually be here for 4 days. Tuesday, it's the week after April vacation, Tuesday the 24th through Friday the 27th. The team that comes on site is a 6-member team with a team leader, and each member of the team focuses on one of the standards that they'll be reviewing. Kathy did send you an email and asked you to save the date because there is an opportunity for school committee members to be interviewed in sub-quorum groups on Thursday, April 26th from 4:30 to 5:30. And we know that not everyone will be able to attend, but the schedule that Kathy just distributed is actually developed by the site team. So we have some interface with this schedule. We can identify who's coming, and Kathy and I talked to the team leader for a couple of hours on Friday, and Kathy's been in contact with her to manage some of the details. We've shifted a couple of the sessions around, but the schedule is firm. They start at 7:30 in the morning. They're going to work out of South Street. The superintendent's conference room will be their workspace. We'll reserve 3 other conference rooms at South Street. But their job, and there is a little packet in your folder, it's the sheet labeled site visit. Their job is to actually engage in very specific activities. And I'll back up. The reason they're coming, they are empowered and required to conduct these reviews under Mass General Law. It's about once every 5 or 6 years, but every year they have to identify at least 40 school districts. Many, the majority of those 40 have student performance in the lower percentile rankings. And then they can identify additional districts that just are on the spectrum of student performance. So Fitchburg was up. We were up this year. We requested to extend it because of the issues with Crocker and Longjoe, and they declined extending it to next year. They said it had to be done this year. And this particular week after April vacation was a week that the visiting team was available. So it comes with some issues. I'll get into those in a minute. But in the site visit, this is actually taken from their protocol document. And the team reviews documents. We're in the process of compiling and submitting those. And the documents are supporting our self-assessment in the standards. They conduct an on-site visit, and that on-site visit is with a variety of stakeholder groups. And they visit classrooms and schools, and they have a specific observational protocol. So basically, they triangulate all of the data. They look at documents, they talk to people, they do a site visit. And in addition to that, when they talk to people, they talk to people 2 or 3 times, and different people representing the same questions. So it's kind of like triangulation squared. And then they compile it, they create a report. It's about 30 to 60 days out, and that's reviewed by the superintendent and the central office team, not for rebuttal, but for factual errors. So if they misname a school or say the wrong number of something, but their observations are their observations. So this document gives you the 4 stages of the review. The standards are actually on the second page in this. There are 6 standards: leadership and governance, curriculum and instruction, assessment, HR and PD, student support, and financial and asset management. And then there are several pages of descriptors. One of the challenges, personally, I can say we, but I'm going to say I had, was that at the beginning of the year, at central office and then in our schools, we did a self-assessment of the district in these standards. Our challenge was, at Election Day, 2 of our key student support subcommittee members changed jobs. So as a school committee, we didn't have an opportunity to review the self-assessment. And if you're being interviewed, those are questions they're going to ask you about. So that may be something to take a look at. I can send it to you, just so you have an idea about what the self-assessment looks
I
like.
guess I need you to say that again.
Okay.
So who-
The self,
jobs? Or-
Marissa and your school committee
I thought you
here.
were talking about school.
Oh, no,
personnel.
here.
How does that?
So our cabinet, at central office, we did the self-assessment, ran through the questions, the categories, said, okay, if we believe that we're doing well on this, what documents do we have to support it? We compiled that.
Yeah.
We asked the principals to do that at their schools with their leadership teams. And then we did took the same self-assessment with all of our coaches, because they're key to our curriculum instruction and assessment program. The challenge is, the school committee is a major stakeholder group, and we didn't have a full school committee to engage in the self-assessment. So I raised that to ask, would you, I mean, I don't know how, at least to see it, I could email you the self-assessment.
Yeah.
I could, okay. And then it might be something you talk about during vacation when you meet. I mean, it wouldn't be the whole thing, but just to give you an idea. And the standards and their descriptors are here. So it just gives you a basis to work from. The expectation for participants, I mean, this is a regular bureaucrat manual, you know, of protocols, but the expectation for the district is pretty clear. There are, the next page, and it's nicely laid out, are the kinds of activities and who might be sitting in on interviews. And then this information has been emailed out to all staff, and specifically, again, with reminders to the principal and the union president, because when they conduct classroom and school visits, they do look for specific, they're not evaluating teachers. This isn't part of an evaluation system, and they don't give individual teacher feedback, but they are looking for evidence in classrooms if there are learning objectives and expectations, if students are engaged and there's higher order, a rigorous classroom environment, higher order thinking, and whether or not there are inclusive practices and the kind of classroom culture that exists that includes all students in learning. And then they actually have a rubric that they go by to score. So Kathy has been working on the schedule for the week, and that's what she distributed to you. Again, they come to the office, they conduct document reviews, they ask for additional documents if they need them. They also conduct site visits. They go to every school and visit classrooms at least one day. And they interview, and they conduct multiple interviews with multiple sets of folks around each standard. So we just wanted to kind of bring you up to date, have you save the date if you can join us. Kathy will be sending you a Google invite so that you can confirm when you can come, or if you can come. And any other, did I leave anything out, Kath?
We just need to submit the self-assessment from each stakeholder group, whether it's by school or central office, folks, with the supporting evidence and the documents that are required, including school improvement plans, documents from HR, a list of all alphabetized staff, administrators, and teachers who work for the district, because they will be pulling 30 names off of that list and looking at their evaluations and to see whether or not that matches with all of the other pieces of documentation. So we'll be submitting that between this Friday and next Friday, and also offering them access to the district curriculum by grade level, elementary, middle school, and high school online, which they can look at that before they come, but they'll have access to that. Those Google Docs will be uploaded. And each member of the team has a different focus.
Right. Each member of the team is kind of the chairperson of a mini group on every standard. So there's a gentleman who's, his first name is Jim. Cardoni, who is the chairperson, the leader for the standard on, the human resource.
He's the HR.
And then there's a woman, I can't remember her name, who's the lead for curriculum and instruction. So every member of the team focuses on one standard, but then conducts interviews, site visits, reviews documents about that standard.
And we've been told that those individuals have expertise in the area to which they are assigned.
Yep.
Are the team members other administrators, teachers within the state, or are they part of the state employees at the Department of Ed, or?
Well, they work for the Office of District Review and Monitoring through the Department of Ed, but they are people who have never, in fact, been associated with the Fitchburg Public Schools. That's one of the conditions.
They generally are retired superintendents, principals, business leaders.
Okay.
Those 30 teachers, those are at random schools?
Yes, they select, they're provided with an alphabetized list and they select.
That's Caledonia.
Yes.
Yep, Rosemary?
They came, did you say 5 or 6 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And is that report available?
I'm sure it is. It's
Well,
in the
what I'm wondering is, would they be piggybacking on that? Would they be reviewing that report and seeing?
No.
No.
No? It's totally independent?
Yeah.
And that's on their website. That's posted on
Correct.
mass.gov.
It
Right.
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, the Department of Ed migrated their website to mass.gov.
Okay.
So sometimes it's many layers into it's not as easy to find as it used to be when they had their own
Right.
website.
Right.
But yeah, all of this is public information.
Okay.
All of these tools, the protocol guide, I can email it all to you so that you have everything, but everything is public information.
And is it strictly on education, or does it include the use of finances?
One of the standards is the finance and business operations, and Mr. Jokela in his office have lots of documents to upload, and they're
So
available.
they're
for
comprehensive, everything to do with the
It
school?
is. If you look on page 4 of the schedule that I've given you, on the right-hand side, finance and asset management interview with town officials as well.
Right.
This basically will consume those 3 days, everyone in
Four days.
everyone in the district.
And
Yes.
is other wealthier towns, is Cambridge also having this done, or is it?
Every district
It's
in the
well done.
state participates in this kind of review at least once every 6 to 7 years.
In every 351 towns, or whatever it is?
Yes.
If they have schools.
That's why they could not accommodate us for any change in the calendar.
It's so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questioning?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to have Kathy back.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy.
She reappears, as I've said many times, you never get away from Fitchburg. We find you, we bring you back.
Well, we have a good news, 1.5 million words.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. So I sent out I've given a new challenge, the Footsteps to Brilliance, the Fitchburg Flourishes, and I've challenged our young preschoolers and before to a 10 million word challenge by July 1, and they're up to 1.5 million. So the counter is on our if you go to our website, there's a thermometer there, which is a counter, so it's a live, as they use it, it gets put on there. So that's kind of exciting.
And we're always looking for literacy ambassadors, and Rosemary has just signed up, and
Yeah.
as the tool has been emailed to her, she now is connected with the tool, so anyone else that's
It's
interested,
wonderful.
please email me, yes.
And,
I'm excited, I'm learning.
It's amazing, yes.
And Saturday, there's the ASCD conference, national conference is in Boston, and myself, Phil Gazinski, and Bruno Hicks from Fitchburg State. Phil is with the United Way. Bruno is with Fitchburg State University. We are on a panel at the conference talking about Footsteps to Brilliance and this initiative. So that should be fun. It's a 3-day conference. The day that I'm there, Mrs. Biden is the General Assembly Speaker, so I'm looking forward to she is been very involved in early literacy and children's literacy, so it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say.
The Poverty Conference, a couple of the books that were used were ASCD books.
Yeah, they put out really good materials. And it's nice that the conference is here in Boston, very convenient. Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Are principals members of ASCD, or many of them, or all?
Yeah, some of them are, that's all an individual
Yeah,
thing.
right, yes.
So, yeah.
I know I always used to be interested in that.
Okay, school calendar, no changes. Everything you saw the last time, that's what is here. So today is the final vote on the next year's school calendar.
Just a comment. We actually arranged DPW Day for the half-day in June. So next year, it's going to be the second Wednesday in June instead of the first Wednesday in June. So I'm just saying that for the public, so they can mark their calendars, that DPW Day 11 will be June 13th.
Okay.
Okay, any donations, grants?
So donations, we have a donation of $7,500, and that's from Digital Federal Credit Union, and that is for the purpose of scholarships. We also are submitting a grant for the expansion of the summer food service program. You know that every year, we send students to the Massachusetts Boys and Girls State, and we're getting better at planning for it, and I'm asking you to use $1,000 in school choice money to send 4 to 5 students, use that to fund the attendance of 4 to 5 students. It's a program that we always have great success in. Many times our representatives rise to the top, have been Secretary of State, have been President, have been Vice President, and I think at least 2 of our students have gotten to go to Washington, D.C. So that's the appropriation from school choice. I think that's it.
Okay. Action items tonight. We'll take the Good Friday at the end. 18977, approve the superintendent recommends to approve the first reading of the school final reading of the school calendar. Motion?
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. 18978, approve the donation, $7,500 to be utilized to support the scholarship for the members of the class of 2018 from Digital Federal Credit Union.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 18979, approve the superintendent's recommendation to submit the following grants titled Summer Food Service Program Expansion Grant in the amount of $18,382.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 18980, support the superintendent's recommendation to invest up to $1,000 of school choice funds for the purpose of sponsoring 4 or 5 FHS students to attend the Massachusetts Boys and Girls State 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approve the warrant in the amount of $946,674.56, dead warrant. Motion?
Second.
All in-
Motion.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a motion to make Good Friday a half-day.
Well, to allow
Allow,
Superintendent Ravenel
yeah,
to
yeah,
use that option.
yeah.
Yes.
Allow Superintendent Ravenel to make Good Friday a half-day,
So moved?
Have the option.
But
to
should
use
it be needed,
Have-
right?
Yeah,
like
have
that,
the
yeah.
right.
option.
if needed.
So, second that.
All in favor? Aye. Motion for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's Mayor. She's retired, she fills in.
Because I get no-